This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Mosaic, a daily news program from Link TV, presents a selection of news reports from independent and state-controlled broadcasters from throughout the Middle East.
The leader of Pakistan's ruling party has conceded election defeat. It's a major blow for President Pervez Musharraf. The vote was seen as something of a referendum on his success as a leader. We're still waiting for final official results, but here's how it's looking so far. Now, the Pakistan People's Party, or PPP, has taken most of the seats. That, of course, is the party of assassinated former Prime Minister Benazir Bhutto. A close second is the party of former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif. Together, these two leading opposition parties have won 149 seats. That's more than half of the 272 available in the National Assembly. With only 36 seats gained so far, the current ruling party can't win. The chairman of the Pakistan Muslim League says they'll be sitting on the opposition benches in the new parliament. PMLQ is President Pervez Musharraf's main supporter, which means he'll be presiding over a parliament in opposition when the new government is formed. Well, that's likely to be decided when the two winning party leaders meet on Thursday in Islamabad. Well, speaking a short time ago, Nawaz Sharif said he hopes Pakistan will be rid of dictatorship forever.
The people have spoken. Musharraf must stand down. We will work with all democratic forces, all those who secured victory. I want to congratulate them and those who participated as opposition parties. I invite them all to come and sit together to rid Pakistan of dictatorship forever.
Well, Karachi is the largest city in Pakistan and has been hit by violence again and again in the run-up to the election. But with security forces out in their thousands to prevent clashes, residents are breathing a sigh of relief after a peaceful poll. Imran Khan reports.
The political colours may be limp, but Karachi's getting back to normal post-election. The markets are busy and the talk is of how the election passed peacefully. February 18th, polling day, may well be remembered for what didn't happen rather than what did. The predictions of violence and terrorism have failed to come true, bar a few minor incidents. In this typical city street, the residents were relieved and thankful. This man says, God helped us to make it peaceful and God blessed us. Another went on to say, it was with God's blessing that Karachi remained peaceful and events passed peacefully. While God may have had a hand, the massive security operation would also have helped. In Karachi, troops fanned out across the city for the polls, and on Tuesday, large-scale operation was scaled down. The man in charge of the operation believed that Pakistanis largely wanted it that way.
The people of Pakistan, and especially Sindh, have matured. And that is why I think one of the reasons was that we had upgraded our security to the highest level. We had in our own province about 55,000 policemen, backed up by 15,000 rangers.
The fact that these elections have passed relatively peacefully is a source of relief for many. The majority of the people in this city live in conditions like these, and they'll be looking to their newly elected politicians to improve their conditions. However, the political wrangling is still going on, so who those newly elected politicians are remains to be seen. Imran Khan, Al Jazeera, Karachi.
Moscow notified Washington that the independence of Kosovo is dangerous and unacceptable, and warned that this independence may threaten international stability. However, this Russian position, which supports Serbia's stand, is not bothering Kosovo and those who support the addition of another country to the world's map. More details from Ismat Talebai.
Celebrations for Kosovo's independence are not over yet. The citizens of this new country and its officials continue celebrating with folk songs and dances. Away from the media, Kosovo's officials met for the first time since declaring independence. The government started by asking the world's governments to recognize Kosovo as an independent and sovereign nation. The U.S. responded quickly.
On Sunday, the people of Kosovo declared independence. Kosovo committed itself to the highest standards of democracy, including freedom, tolerance, and justice for all citizens of all ethnic backgrounds. These are principles that honor human dignity. They are values America looks for in a friend, and soon we will establish full diplomatic relations with the new nation of Kosovo.
The U.S. recognition of Kosovo, where Albanians form the majority of the population, was soon followed by Australia, which jumped on the bandwagon of supporters. Turkey, Britain, and France have confirmed their support by sending their ambassadors to the new country. It seems that these concrete steps angered Russia and Serbia, but none of them has put its forces on alert.
Serbia will take diplomatic action.
Serbia will take diplomatic action to counter international support for Kosovo's independence, with the objective of maintaining Serbia's unity and sovereignty.
Although Serbia said that it will not use force, Kosovo was still subjected to acts of violence and disturbances, like the explosions that happened yesterday in Mitrovica. There were only material damages, but there are concerns that these explosions would continue, which left some wondering about what will happen after the independence.
Without a doubt, the international recognition of Kosovo as a sovereign state does not mean that the country has what it takes to continue functioning independently. The country is facing many challenges, including the lack of an effective infrastructure for its need of oil, gas, electricity, and telecommunication systems, which are now under the administration of the Serbian Authority. In addition, Kosovo depends on neighboring Macedonia for internet services. 1/5 of Kosovo's population depends on money coming from their relatives working in the western part of the continent. In Kosovo, the unemployment rate stands at 40%, and the standard living is only 5% of that of the European Union. Kosovo has become a safe haven for organized gangs, including those specializing in human trading and drug trafficking. Meanwhile, several European countries refrain from welcoming Kosovo as a sovereign state. Some countries don't want to be in Serbia's place, as they fear that what happened in Kosovo can be played in their territories. Belgium, which is living in a fragile coexistence between ethnic Wallonia and Flemings, didn't welcome Kosovo's independence. In addition, Spain is living amidst fear of separation of two of its regions, the Basque and Catalonia. Greece also opposed the declaration of independence for Kosovo due to the fear that the same thing could happen in the region of Macedonia. Cyprus is no exception, as the Turkish part there wants to achieve the same international support Kosovo did.
بكم من جديد. يلتقي في القدس الغربية اليوم الرئيس الفلسطيني.
The Palestinian president, Mahmoud Abbas, will meet today with the Israeli Prime Minister, Ehud Olmert, for the third round of talks since the Annapolis Peace Conference. This news comes amidst disagreement between the two sides over the core issues, including the status of Jerusalem. According to incoming reports, Olmert has rejected to include Jerusalem in the negotiations due to fear that the right-wing Shas party might withdraw from the government. Meanwhile, the Palestinian Prime Minister, Salam Fayyad, said that they have not yet made any progress in the negotiations with the Israelis since the Annapolis conference. Fayyad further said that he doubts they will reach an agreement with the Israelis by the end of the year if the negotiations are not accelerated. Fayyad's remarks came as he spoke before the leaders of the North American Jewish Organizations Conference underway in Jerusalem.
ومن القدس ينضم إلينا زياد حلبي مراسل العربية. أهلا بك.
We are joined from Jerusalem with our correspondent, Ziad Halabi. Ziad, welcome. A new round of talks is taking place amidst ambiguity and political cloudiness. Why bother and meet if the negotiations are being held amidst political escalation, especially from the Israeli side, regarding the core issues?
ليس ذلك فقط نجوى بل أن ثمة تصعيدا أيضا على الأرض من الناحية العسكرية في
This is not the only thing happening on the ground. As you know, there has been a military escalation in the Gaza Strip. Having said that, these talks are held periodically. Both sides have agreed to meet on a bi-weekly basis, and this is what is happening. As you mentioned earlier, the negotiations are taking place amidst disagreement over the issue of Jerusalem. However, this disagreement has nothing to do with the details of the issue, but whether or not Jerusalem should be included in the negotiations. Olmert wants Jerusalem to be the last issue discussed in the negotiations due to fear that some of his coalition parties, including Shas, may withdraw from the government. Nearly a week and a half ago, Olmert called the U.S. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice and advised her of his government's position. Rice agreed with Olmert and said, including Jerusalem in the negotiations at a preliminary stage may lead to their collapse. Consequently, no need to pin high hopes on these types of meetings. Yesterday, the Palestinian negotiators met with their Israeli counterparts. In addition, Kuray is expected to meet with Livni tomorrow.
Olmert said that Jerusalem is outside the sphere of negotiations. In the past, we heard a lot of talk about the building of settlements in Jerusalem. This issue has taken center stage at the negotiations. How can you relate to that?
بالنسبة للإسرائيليين هذا المطروح على الأرجح بمعنى قبل يومين قال أولمرت في
This is what the Israelis have brought to the bargaining table. 2 days ago, and before the very same Jewish conference that Fayyad gave a speech to, Olmert said that all settlement activities in Jerusalem and major outposts will continue. This means that Israel is refusing to hold talks on the core issues, including Jerusalem and the settlements. There appear to be no actual political horizons for the negotiations. Najwa, I want to add that Israel is planning to widen its military incursion in the Gaza Strip. This may take place next spring, as confirmed by some government and military sources in the Hebrew state.
Ziad, thank you very much for joining us from Jerusalem.
We will have to give up part of our territory in order to achieve our main goal, which is to maintain a secure, democratic Jewish state. That's the view of Foreign Minister Tzipi Livni in an address to the 5th Annual Jerusalem Conference this morning. Livni warned that the current opportunity for negotiating with the pragmatic elements among the Palestinians will not last forever, and we may eventually find ourselves facing only those who refuse to recognize the existence of the State of Israel. Livni said that the Palestinians will have to resolve the problem of their refugees in the framework of setting up a Palestinian state, while Israel will secure its status as a homeland for the Jewish people. The foreign minister stressed that Israel will persevere in its war on terrorism while continuing to negotiate peace, and she added, the Palestinians will also have to make their own difficult choices. Despite the inclement weather, Palestinian terrorists in Gaza continued firing Qassams at the western Negev. 5 rockets were fired today. 1 rocket landed this morning in the Ashkelon Beach region. No people were hurt, but a chicken coop was seriously damaged. 2 rockets landed in the industrial zone, 1 near a factory. Earlier, 2 rockets landed in an open field near Sderot. There were no injuries and no damage caused. According to statistics released by the Home Front Command today, over 400 Qassam rockets have been fired into Israel from Gaza since the beginning of 2008.
The ambulance service in the Gaza Strip has come to a complete halt due to a sharp decline in fuel supplies, which forced some residents to use motorcycles and carriages pulled by donkeys and mules to transport the wounded. Meanwhile, local health officials pleaded to the international community to mount pressure on Israel to lift its blockade on the Gaza Strip and ease up the work of medical emergency response teams.
Amidst the ongoing Israeli incursions and assaults on the Gaza Strip, the work of medical emergency crews, including the ambulance service, has come to a dangerous halt. It seems that the ongoing showdown between the medical sector and the occupation forces has reached a new level of escalation. The struggle between life and death continues in the Gaza Strip, where ambulance service has totally stopped, with emergency vehicles no longer able to reach the wounded. The occupation forces are doing everything in their power to hamper humanitarian efforts efforts in the Gaza Strip, even if it means cutting off fuel supplies to local ambulances.
During the past 10 days, we have started to feel the pinch of the fuel problem. Before then, we used to receive the minimum amount of fuel necessary to run our ambulances. Today, the ambulance service came to a complete halt due to the reduction of fuel supplies.
The Ministry of Health of the ousted Palestinian government announced complete halt in the emergency and rescue departments due to what the minister described as severe shortage of fuel. The minister declared that most of its ambulances have stopped working after the occupation authority decided to cut off fuel supplies in conformity with an Israeli ministerial decision. In addition, the ministry warned of more Palestinian casualties due to the frequent Israeli attacks and incursions in the coastal Gaza Strip and urged the international community to intervene and stop the aggression.
The halt of ambulance service means the halt of transporting patients, including those wounded during Israeli incursions, to local hospitals. It also means the halt of transferring medical supplies and lab samples between hospitals, especially in the shadow of the frequent Israeli attacks and incursions on the Gaza Strip.
Meanwhile, the emergency and rescue service in the Gaza Strip was totally paralyzed after the Israeli government issued a ministerial decision calling for the reduction of fuel supplies to the Gaza Strip. The sharp decline in the fuel supplies to the Health Ministry, Emergency and Rescue Division has caused most ambulances to suspend operations. Meanwhile, local paramedics started to use motorcycles and carriages to transport some of the victims of the Israeli incursions.
We will not stop working. We will use our limited equipment and supplies to provide medical attention to city streets and public areas.
The Israeli occupation has widened its blockade to include Palestinian medical emergency response teams. Meanwhile, the emergency service in the Gaza Strip has come to a complete halt due to a decline in fuel supplies. This indicates that even the messengers of life are not immune of becoming a target to Israeli aggression. This comes as Israel continues to hamper the efforts of the medical emergency response teams, who are trying to save lives and provide care for the wounded.
To further discuss this topic, we are joined live with the spokesman of the International Red Cross in the Gaza Strip, Iyad Nasser. Iyad, how does the shortage of fuel affect the work of the Red Cross in the Gaza Strip?
When we talk about fuel, we are talking about an important product that is necessary for keeping the Gaza Strip functioning. We are talking about generating electricity to homes, hospitals, schools, bakeries, water and sewer systems and others. After Israel tightened its blockade on the Gaza Strip last September, the residents started to feel the heat. This comes as Israel started to reduce fuel supplies to the Gaza Strip, which has indeed jeopardized the lives of many citizens. The Red Cross is facing real challenges in the Gaza Strip. As an international delegation of the Red Cross, we have repeatedly demanded that the Israeli Authority refrain from imposing these types of sanctions due to their negative impact on life as a whole. The cutoff of fuel supplies affects every aspect of life, including hospitals and emergency services.
تأثيرا سلبيا على كل مجريات الأمور وليس المستشفيات فقط وليس خدمات الإسعاف فقط.
طلب النائب العام التمييزي في لبنان سعيد ميرزا عقوبة الإعدام لشاكر العبسي زعيم
Lebanon State Prosecutor Said Mirza is seeking the death penalty for Fateh al-Islam's leader, Shakir al-Absi and others, over a twin bus bombing in Ain Alak a year ago. Mirza, however, did not include in his report the conclusions that the Lebanese Interior Minister, Hassan al-Sabeh, accused Syrian intelligence of standing behind this operation. Mirza said that some of the Syrian detainees were recruited with the objective of destabilizing the regime in Syria, but it turned out that the real objective was to destabilize the security in Lebanon.
معنا من بيروت مراسلتنا بشرى.
Joining us from Beirut, Bushra Abdel Al-Samad. Bushra, has Said Mirza's report generated any reactions in Lebanon, both at the political and public levels, considering all that is happening in Lebanon?
حتى الآن لم يصدر أي رد فعل على هذه المطالعة القانونية. طبعا هي مطالعة قانونية تسبق القرار.
So far, there's been no reaction to this legal motion, which precedes the indictment sheet and the final verdict pertaining to the detainees. However, the importance of this motion at this time is the fact that it might be the first one that has been issued pertaining to the explosions in Lebanon, an unresolved issue thus far. This might be the most significant development. One must stop at a number of points that were mentioned in the report. First, the target of the explosion was the March 14th coalition and the government under the pretext that they have been promoting the American agenda in Lebanon. In addition, the perpetrators have animosity towards the UNIFIL forces in Lebanon under the pretext that these forces are occupying Muslim lands. The second important point in the report is that the detained Fateh al-Islam members wanted to carry out a lot of explosions with the objective of creating ethnic strife in a number of areas.
النقطة الثانية الهامة التي أشارت إليها المطالعة هي بأن الموقوفين أو عناصر فتح الإسلام.
The report also said that video recordings were made of a number of Arab and Western embassies, including British, Russian, and Jordanian. A number of explosions were prepared with the objective of planting them in Riyadh al-Sula, the same place where opposition march supporters were present, but the bombs were not planted because the security measures were tightened. The third important point in the report, which, as you have mentioned, is that of Mirza's report did not include the conclusions of the Interior Minister, in which he said that the Syrian intelligence were behind the explosions. Instead, the report said that at first it was believed that the objective was to destabilize the security in Syria, but it turned out that the real objective was to destabilize the security in Lebanon. The fourth important point that was mentioned by the state prosecutor is that the late Wissam Aid may have been assassinated because he was directly involved in the investigations in the Ain al-Alik crime.
شكرا لك على كل هذه المعلومات بشرى عبد الصمد من بيروت.
Tunisian President Zain al-Abidin Ben Ali received a letter from President Bashar al-Assad inviting him to the Arab Summit in Damascus at the end of next month. Foreign Minister Walid al-Muallim delivered this letter to President Ben Ali in the presence of Dr. Faisal al-Allouni, the Syrian ambassador to Tunisia. They discussed the relations between the two countries and the ways to improve them. President Ben Ali expressed his gratitude and appreciation of President Bashar al-Assad, as well as his satisfaction with the relations between the two countries. The Tunisian president affirmed the importance of the Arab Summit taking place in Damascus, expressing Tunisia's readiness to work towards the summit's success in producing decisions and promoting cooperation amongst Arab countries. The Tunisian street wished success for the Arab Summit in Damascus in light of the challenges facing the Arab world.
الشارع التونسي تمنى نجاح للقمة العربية في دمشق نظرا للتحديات التي تواجه الأمة العربية.
There is a buzz on the Arab street, and on the Tunisian street in particular, in preparation for another Arab summit at the end of next month. This time, the summit will take place in the Syrian capital of Damascus. Arabs hope that this summit will produce exceptional momentum that unites Arabs in spite of the many crises that await solutions, in a global and regional atmosphere saturated with unknown variables and polarization.
The Arab Summit is taking place at a momentous time, both in regard to what is taking place currently and in remembering historic events, primarily the 60th anniversary of Al-Nakba, the catastrophe.
The fact that the Arab Summit is taking place in Damascus is a reason to be optimistic. It raises our expectations. As everyone knows, Damascus showed itself as a fortress of resistance and perseverance in its positions.
As Syria prepares for the March summit, the general public in the Arab world hopes for a summit that would spare the Arab nations from dispersion and estrangement. A summit that works on implementing the principle of Arab cooperation in theory and in practice.
Syrian President Bashar al-Assad speaks honestly and courageously. This has been the case in all Arab summits since the beginning of his presidency. He talks about the problems in a language that is accessible to the troubled citizen who is burdened by the problems in the Arab world. I think that his opening speech, or rather his talks and speeches in the closed sessions of the Arab Summit in Damascus, will greatly influence the participants.
The fact that Syria's Bashar al-Assad will head the upcoming summit is a reason to be optimistic and better things to come.
The speeches of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad were an event during previous Arab summits, which were closely followed by the Arab citizen. I think that both in his opening speech and during the closed sessions, he will be very effective. The ceiling of expectations for this particular summit is higher than previous summits.
The anticipated summit in Damascus represents a long-awaited step towards Arab cooperation, especially that it will take place in Syria, the land of Arab unity. The summit renews the hope of the Arab citizen to deepen the roots of his nationalism and support his cultural and economic status, so as to be an active member in a world overcome with regional challenges and economic and strategic variables. Imad Barboura, Arab Syrian TV, Tunis.
And now let's go with JNN reporter Niloufer Ibrahim to the second and final day of the International Conference on Muslim Women and see what is happening there.
An international conference on intellectual Muslim women wrapped up its work in Tehran. Women from 51 countries took part in the two-day gathering to stake out their viewpoints on questions associated with females in the Islamic world. At issue were lack of spirituality and Islamic covering hijab in today's world, as well as instability of family foundation and the significant role families could play to consolidate and promote spirituality.
The woman play a very important role in their family and also in the nation and also in the whole world. Because from my point of view, if we have family with a good wife, with a good woman, means the family is very strong. And also the woman play important role, especially in development of spirituality of children and the whole members in the family.
As a social worker, in contact with families, women and children, with a variety of problems, it helps me a great deal to be a Muslim, because then people trust me. They know as a Muslimah, they know something, it says something about my character. So they trust me and they can rely on me to help them, whatever their problems are.
Scholars at the conference expressed with one voice that Muslim women should have a big say in various scientific, social and technical fields. They also called for stronger presence of Muslim women at international scenes.
We need the Muslim woman to be active and to be knowledgeable and to show to the whole universe that my Islam empower me as a woman, not suppress me or oppress me. And especially the issue of the hijab. You know how in France now and in many Western countries, especially Muslim women who wear the hijab, they have less opportunities in all fields.
I think modesty is a very, very important principle for both men and women. But I think it's very important for improving society is to try to look at the whole picture.
Get more news about the Middle East online at linktv.org/Mosaic. The Mosaic webpage offers a complete archive of Mosaic programs, program transcripts, the Mosaic video podcast, and the Mosaic Intelligence Report, a weekly analysis of the hottest stories from the Middle East. The views expressed on Mosaic are those of the participating broadcasters, not Link TV or its sponsors. The production of Mosaic is made possible with the support of viewers like you. Thank you. This program was brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Link TV is the only U.S. television network devoted to global and national news, with uncompromising documentaries and diverse cultural programs. Programs which connect you to the world.